Well, good afternoon, and in some cases, possibly good morning. We want to welcome you to a Rady Live event today on the question of the day, is the field of accounting for you? Let me introduce myself. I'm Jim Deiotte. I'm the Executive Director of the Masters of Professional Accountancy program over at the University of California, San Diego, Rady School of Management. Again, welcome everybody. I'm delighted to have you here, and I'm delighted to be sharing a little bit of our thoughts about what we see going on in the accounting profession today. With that being the case, we're going to get ourselves started. Got basically four items that we want to share with you. And today's program really is more centric on the accounting profession. I was a first generation accountant. Matter of fact, I was a first generation son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, first in a family to achieve a degree in a collegiate experience. And I happen to have chosen public accounting as my career path. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about the differences between when I entered the profession and what you're taking a look at. And we're also going to take a look at the profession today. You know, what do I see? What do we see here at Rady, making this one of the more exciting professions out there for you to consider? We're going to spend a few minutes on the recruiting process, and there's no typo there, but getting ready. It's basically how do you get yourself ready for the opportunities that will present themselves if you're studying hard, working hard, and really enjoying opportunities to study accountancy. That being said, let's talk a little bit about my professional journey into the accounting profession. Now, this is me, 1977. My hair was obviously a lot browner than it is today, and it's clearly a lot longer than it's today. But that was me. At the time that this picture was taken, I was going to school during the day, and I was actually working at an iron foundry at night. So it was, it was really quite the experience of making a little bit of money, trying to figure this thing out, and studying a class that I genuinely liked, accounting. I don't know why I liked it. I wasn't necessarily super inclined for mathematics in undergrad. But for some reason, I really enjoyed myself in accounting. So I took it on and have absolutely never regretted it since that point in time. So that's me at that point in time. I began my journey into the accounting profession, and a book came out about the year that I entered into the profession called The Big Eight. Now, you're aware of the big four that exist today, but there were once 8 giants at that point in time. One went away because it went into bankruptcy, and a couple of others did mergers. The Ernst & Young organization, PwC was PricewaterhouseCoopers Brand, and Deloitte & Touche, which is now basically Deloitte at this point in time. So we had 3 mergers, and one, unfortunately, that went away. So we're going to spend a few minutes about the size and what's different about them today versus yesterday. A little bit about a question you should be asking, or at least your parents ought to be curious, is there money in this business? You're going to study, you're going to go to school. Will you make money in accounting? So we're going to deal with that right away. We're going to talk about brand, particularly how it plays out for the organization. And more importantly, what brand means to you personally. It's one of those assets that you begin to build, and you've already begun that process now, but it's something that you get to take with you. It never leaves, never stays with the organization. It's something that follows around, and it's of tremendous value to you today, and it's going to be tremendous value to you, well, when you're my age. We're going to talk a little bit about the secret sauce, what makes accountancy so powerful, what makes it a great, rich environment to learn and to grow, and candidly, going back to point number 2, how do you make money? So today, the largest accounting firm out there is Deloitte. They're approaching $50 billion in revenues. That is massive. They're followed up by 3 other equally large organizations, PwC at $43 billion, E&Y at $37 billion, and KPMG at $29 billion. These are 4 juggernauts. But make no mistake, they're not the only 4 that comprise of a profession where you can have tremendous careers. We have local firms where partners there make as much as many of the partners, if not considerable amounts, more than big 4 partners. And we have regional firms that, well, they deal with small and medium-sized businesses that are doing business on a global scale, and those businesses generate billions of dollars. So there's tremendous opportunities in the big 4. The other global ones, we'll talk about them briefly, regional firms and local firms. All 4 of these provide a rich opportunity for experiences in the profession. Compensation. From this book that I shared with you, The Big Eight, at PW, Pricewaterhouse at the time, this is a long time ago, they boast the highest average earnings with new partners making $75,000 a year, rising to about $100,000 in 5 years and $150,000 in 15 years. And they're top people making upwards of $200,000 to $250,000 a year. Today, starting salaries in the Bay Area are going around $70,000, $72,000, including a sign-on bonus, maybe in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $3,000. Benefit packages that are considerable. We would expect to see you making within 3 to 5 years well over $100,000. Just to put it in scale, when I started in 1980, I was making $15,200. So it's come a long way at this point in time. The chairperson, Joe O'Connor, at that point in time, making $250,000, probably is making a little bit more at that time. Today's chairpersons will be making upwards of $8 to $12 million a year easily. Average partner earnings are minimum about $500,000, probably hitting midpoints in the $700,000 to $800,000 a year. So you can tell your parents this investment in time, this investment in your classroom and experience, it does lead to financial opportunities that can be quite significant, not only in public practice, but also where you could take it in industry. How can you find out a little bit more? I strongly encourage you put this on your web browser, roberthalf.com, roberthalf.com salary guide. It's a wonderful tool where you could take a look at marketplaces where you might have an interest in, get an idea with an accounting professional, whether it's assurance or tax or advisory or risk, how much they make in the first 3 years of their business and how much they can be making in years 5 to 6. This is helpful information. This is going to be guiding information as to, do I want to just rent an apartment? If so, how much? Or do I want to go out and try to buy a piece of property in that location? So having these tools about what you're going to make initially, what you might be making in 3 to 5 years, great looking tool. To the right, you can see a little calculator that we put together in the San Jose office, and this is about a year and a half old, 62,118, midpoint at 75. I can tell you San Jose, San Francisco is in that 70,000 for entry level, not 1 to 3, but entry level. I highlighted over here, and this is really important. You're going to hear this over and over, and particularly if you're maybe new into accountancy and a sophomore or a rising junior, certification exams, particularly the CPA exam. These examinations add to your compensation. Not in 1 year, they add increments anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20% over the averages over your entire lifetime. So this examination that you would be taking, spending a few $1,000 to take it, a little bit of time, working a little bit harder, it means anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 per year, every single year of your career. As your income rises, the value of those certifications mean a lot. So try to get it done as soon as you can. It's not like a fine wine. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't get better with time. The sooner you can crack that exam, the better you are off from a number of different perspectives. All right, this gentleman sitting on his tractor. The talk of the Big Eight partners making a lot of dough, but believe me, they earned every penny. This is back in 1980. My next door neighbor is a partner. I wouldn't do what he's doing for $1 million a day. It is a demanding business. Our clients are very dependent upon us. We have to respond to our partners and colleagues. He made a comment. He goes, last summer, I saw the guy just out there in a pair of shorts, having a low-brow beard, cutting his grass. The next day was pulled on the rug by one of his bosses and just got lit up, got in trouble because of his brand. They want to make sure that you're looking and being respectful and holding yourself out in the community in a very positive way. This is one of the professions that is extremely well respected by the public at large. You know, you've got congresspersons way down there, news media way down there, kind of up there a little bit. At least they're respected. Our attorneys, accountants are way up there along with doctors. So it is one of those professions that you're looking at. The respect comes high, and that people in this business really want to hold themselves to high caliber. The story, I'm pretty certain was true, that they didn't want the guy to be out there cutting his grass in such a fashion. but have other elements of it, of the profession, been more relaxed? The answer is yes. I mean, look at where I'm at tonight. I've got an open collar, much more relaxed than I would have been back in 1980 with a tie and everything else going on. So the times have changed in the profession, but protecting the brand of both the business and the brand of yourself, very important. The secret sauce. If you love great Italian dinners, or your mom's got a favorite sauce that she puts on your foods, you protect that sauce. Well, in this business, this was back in 1980. They understood the more a client depended upon you by control of information, the greater the amount of work, the greater the fees. This same formula works today, hasn't changed at all. The accountants want to be right at the center of the conversation of business. They want to understand it better than anybody else. They want to be able to share it with everybody else. They want to be able to analyze it and provide great insights with that information. And consequently, this is how these partners are making $500,000 and $600,000 and $700,000 a year. They're really good at this business, and they're great at telling stories around this. How big is this? Take a look at this article that just came out a few weeks ago. PwC is planning to hire 100,000 men and women over the next 5 years on something called ESG. This is a type of stakeholder reporting focusing on energy, the carbon footprint, focused on social, its impact on its communities and schools that it supports and serves, and governance. This is a part of what we call a sustainability reporting. Why is this important? If you look at many of the big companies today, if you look at, say, Amazon, market value today on Amazon is $2 trillion. But take a look at its balance sheet. Its physical properties, the physical properties of Amazon, probably not much more than $500 billion. That means $1.5 trillion, $1.5 trillion of its value is intangible. It could disappear on bad events. Sustainability is making sure that you're doing all the right things today that are going to create a sustainable future for that organization and its people tomorrow, and the communities that they serve. Everything today is connected. We have a very small world where the economic connections are indelible. If you're not perceived by the parties that you do business with, whether you're supplying or selling, you may not be a sustainable enterprise. So PwC is looking at hiring 100,000, incrementally 100,000 more people. Well, think about it this way. How many people are in PwC today? About 300. 300,000 are at PwC. They're going to add almost an entire third of a business in the next couple of years in this finite area. This is a rich opportunity of really fun work. And it's an area that we're spending a lot of time here at Rady, really working with our students, helping them to understand what does it mean to have this expanded reporting to other stakeholders, not just shareholders. This is me without the brown hair and long hair. I added a couple little degrees, but I want to say this, what's important about it. It's given me an opportunity to see the world. Remember, I was a first generation student. We had no other degrees. My family didn't have degrees. My parents didn't have degrees. It allowed me to meet guys like Gore, great musicians like Chris Bodie, and obviously Archbishop Desmond Tutu. I mean, amazing human being down in Africa. So it gave me an opportunity to see the world. It allowed me to travel to some places as well. This was on a trip about 18 months ago to Shanghai, where we had a chance to meet with our colleagues and friends over at PW, EY, and Deloitte. And a number of those pictures are with students out of the Rady organization at that time. And this is me just a few days ago with well, you can't see it, but a big smile underneath that mask. We have a wonderful cohort of students coming from 40 different universities. They are doing extremely well on getting great jobs out there this year. Couldn't be more proud of our students. We are having a lot of fun. It's great to be back on campus. And as much as I'm enjoying a chance to see these wonderful people here today on Zoom, it's not the same. It's a lot more fun to be together. So we're delighted that that is in fact the case today. Why professional accountancy? Well, it's not just getting in there, it's where it can take you that matters. The majority of people, including myself, go into public accounting with the idea that I'm going to spend a year or two there, get an understanding of it, maybe be exposed to different types of businesses, industry, and move on to another opportunity. Somehow I got stuck in the industry. I worked at a number of firms. I worked at PW, I worked at Deloitte, I spent a long time at EY, and now I'm in academia. So it allows you the ability to go in a number of different directions. And we're going to spend a few minutes on why do you want to take a look at this profession? The first one is this. This is Standard & Poor's over a number of years. If you go into companies today, there's a good chance, a really good chance that that company will not exist in a handful of years. Some of those companies simply go away. Others are acquired. Others are basically absorbed through a M&A transaction. So there's incredible volatility. You know, the numbers are pretty much that in the next 5 years, about 25 to 30% of the S&P 500 will not exist. Again, more often than not, they're acquired. That's a positive outcome, but it's very volatile. So if you're looking for what I call stability, industry is not that place anymore. These companies aren't around forever. They're going through a lot of change right now. And this is one of those areas where you get a pulse on it. So change. The second one is this. The fuel data is adding to the speed of change. What I want you to focus on is way in the bottom, what would be the bottom right side, you see a 1% there. This is a CTO, Padamar Warrior of Cisco, articulating that basically 1% of what can be connected, I'm sorry, let me say it another way. Sensors that can be connected to something to gather data, your watch, heart monitor, control systems at your residence, smart lights, we're at 1%. It's just beginning. The evolution of change and the speed of change is going to be immense. So what we want to do is sit back and take a look and say, what you're learning today, what you're going to learn tomorrow, will it be applicable the next day? You're hearing what we're hearing. There's artificial intelligence. I'm worried about it. Machine learning is going to take the place of organizing information. I'm worried about it. Is that an overstated worry? And the answer is actually not. JP Morgan did some robotic process automation, RPA. They created bots to go through, read, and analyze in seconds what would have taken 360,000 legal hours. So this is a real risk. And so we want to make sure that we're guiding, not just you guys. We have children, my wife and I have children just a few years older than you. They come to us for advice, and they're basically saying, hey, where's the best place for me to make an investment? Well, 3 of the 4 children of our family got accounting backgrounds. None of them are in accounting. They're practicing law and private banking, but they got accounting backgrounds. And the reason is it provides them the language and skills to go in a number of different directions. None of them are in a business that they are giving any serious thought or worry about being replaced by AI. A very important concept for you to be aware of. All right. I love this chart because when I meet young people, they'll describe, so what do you want to work on? And everybody invariably says, well, let's begin here. I want a good job. I love to get a good job, and I want to do something that's fun. I want to work on a global giant. This is what I want to do. I want to do something around risk management, helping companies not make stupid decisions, helping companies get the best out of what their investments are. I want to work in a company that's got technology. I'm not afraid of change. I want to work in an organization that's got a shifting global workforce. They have a number of things that they want to do, and that's kind of on this left side. And so the ways of plugging into those activities, you could do it through industry, professional service, and other market-facing opportunities to get in there. The problem is, how do you find yourself to there? So we go to the next step, which is professional practice. Many of you on this call today, because we've seen a little bit of your interest, are in public accounting. The entire MPAc program has been designed to get you into public accounting. So from there, as you work your way out, you can go through a number of different practices, but there's a number of, I'll call it specializations. Tax on one top of it. I've highlighted audit, insurance, managerial, but there's a number of other areas of specialty to go. What we recommend to our students is this. Let it go the other way. Trust the development process. I was a tax partner for 40 years. When I was in undergrad, where you are today, I hated taxes. Well, not the taxes that I pay. I hated studying taxes. The world of being a tax advisor is completely different than that. I just didn't know. I didn't understand it. I had so much fun in that field. So if you choose tax, I guarantee you will have a great experience out there. Or you audit. I want to see different businesses. I want to understand what they're doing. I want to, I want to be able to go in and test this and look for this and do a physical observation in this kind of plant. I want to fly around the world and observe inventories. Great place to go. Or I want to be part of teams that help manage change in organizations. I want to go into the consultancy side of a business, or I want to go into risk management, more towards the internal audit and work with the boards of directors and the like. So a number of different choices. These firms know how to take you from there to the left side. They know how to go from right to left. So it's harder to go from, you can describe where you want to go. It's harder to get there from right going to left, but right going to left works. Left going to right, much more difficult. Here's another way of looking at it by way of role and function. Entry level, get your CPA. This is out of one of the financial, I think it's out of careers.com. This shows you where the majority of CPAs go. They become controllers and ultimately become, and you can see the size over here, the size of this dark blue and how much is here. Most people that make controller ultimately make CFO. Now, I shared with you compensation of partners. CFOs for publicly traded companies comfortably make $2 to $3 to $6 to $8 million a year. It's a tough business. And you go into the 10Ks, their information is always going to be out there. So if you're curious about what a publicly traded company CFO makes, they make good money. Average CFOs today comfortably in the $400,000 to $600,000 range. I mean, they're very, very well paid. But this also gives you other directions that are direct opportunities that are out there. And in a couple of cases, it does lead to the C-suite, CEO, CFO, CEO, COO, president, and assistant controller. So it really does open up the avenues. The main reason is simply you have the language of business. People come to you, they want to understand it better, and you're the one that they'll look to for guidance. The recruiting process. So we're going to spend a few minutes here. This has changed a lot. In a previous era, we had a lot of things called these meet the firms, accounting summits. People came in a lot, got to know us, got to know you. Offers came up the first week of October or November, and everything is all sorted and settled away. Yeah, that day doesn't exist anymore. Part of the reason is you've got a lot of different companies out there. If you approach BDO the same as Moss Adams, your dialect is the same. Your resume is exactly the same. Your script, your interest in BDO versus Moss, you will not get both of them. There's a chance you may not get either of them as an opportunity. You've really got to sit down and make sure that you understand what is special, what is unique about BDO. Personally speaking, I love their commercials, but what's also particularly special about Moss Adams? I think they are simply one of the coolest accounting firms in the country. They got some of the best partners that I've met. I love where they are. I love their culture. I love everything about Moss Adams. Then you've got on the corners, EY, PwC, Deloitte, and KPMG. They're all different. They all have a different way that they look at business, where they're going with their business. They have a different way of engaging. You really have to step back and spend time with them, understanding what they're looking for, and more importantly, of your motivations, making sure your motivation of what interests you is what they're looking for. And we're going to come back to this, but all of these are special organizations. All of these provide tremendous opportunities. All of them are hiring students from our program. So we love them all. We love them all equally, but they all have different tendencies, different approaches. And if you go with the same script, HCVT, dominating regional firms sitting in Orange and Los Angeles County, super proud of their background, super strong in tax. If you go there, say, hey, I want to be an auditor, they do some audits, but they're predominantly a tax firm. So if you're interested in taxes, this is something you want to know and do, HCVT is just ripping, roaring on that. You also do a lot of M&A too, so really strong in that space. All of them are really good. This is the size of the big four firms. And as you sit there, you kind of scratch your head saying, of the US practices, not the global, of the US. So when you look at these and you see Deloitte at 23 billion, 18 billion for PW, 15.9. If you take away the marketplaces of New York, Chicago, probably Atlanta, Dallas, San Francisco, maybe LA as well, the rest, and we're talking about 48 other cities, regionals in the big four are very similar in size. In the Cleveland marketplace, my hometown, there's a local accounting firm, not a regional, a local accounting firm, Cohen and Company. They are bigger than, I believe, 3 of the 4 big four firms. They're number 2 in that city. They just sit behind Ernst & Young, which has a major regional center there. So don't worry about it. When you start seeing Moss Adams at nearly $1 billion in revenues, they're big. They're big enough. They have the ability to invest in technology, the ability to invest in the development of you, the ability to give you that size and scale to grow. Many of these firms, such as BDO, their growth is not sitting in single digits. Their growth is in double digits. They are largely serving U.S. small and medium-sized enterprises. What is the big difference? Public company audits are predominantly done by the 4 plus a couple more. And then when it comes down to the closely held businesses that are out there, you're going to see the next group of firms there. We get a number of students that will come back and say, you know what, I want to work for a company. I want to work for a firm that gives me an opportunity to work with companies that might do an IPO. They're in tech. E&Y is known in this area. They're auditors of Amazon and Apple. So they're really strong in this area. But I guarantee you, I got 3 or 4 others that actually get companies more ready for IPOs than you can possibly manage. When the IPO occurs, they'll go to one of the big four firms ultimately, but the experience of getting a company ready, the experience of being part of their growth, and the possibility of getting hired by those companies as they go into an IPO, which can be quite rewarding, is very high with some of these firms. So a number of young colleagues in this profession will work with one of these other firms, help a couple of companies go public, join one of those companies, be part of a public offering, and they're extremely well-to-do in terms of compensation. They're set for life. So again, we have relationships with all those firms. They're all they're all sizable. And in terms of earnings, there are local firms that are not on this list where those partners and senior leaders make a considerable amount of money. Entry-level compensation is very competitive compared to the big four firms. There's no real differentiation in that. It's just a differentiation on you get to work closer with partners on the local ones. You get to meet the owners. You get to meet the CFOs earlier in your career than you do on the big companies. Again, all of them are really good. They just have differences that you need to sort out. All right. There's changes in the industry coming up. PwC just announced I think within the last 2 weeks, they're selling their tax and immigration business to a private equity firm, Clayton Dubilier, I believe out of Chicago, for $2.2 billion. So they're actually selling 5,000 people, the revenue stream for that, and they're moving that off. And it's regulations. EU regulations are becoming more problematic for the large firms where they've got a lot of consultancy and other compliance services. So there's going to be changes out there. What I can share with you is the skills that you're looking at developing, these will be non-events for you. You'll have no trouble. If you were part of a group like this, you're going to go to Clayton as a senior leader and continue your business just the way you were doing the day before. On the other hand, if you say, no, I want to remain with PwC, I'm sure there will be opportunities to either stay with them or go into another firm in a similar service line. But I'm just trying to give you an idea that there is change on the horizon for all these firms. These organizations are quite nimble. And obviously, when you look at the business case, I mean, $2.2 billion for the sale of a very small part of their business. We're talking a very, very small part of their business. It's quite interesting. All right, growth. Couple of things. Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is U.S. government statistics. They put out what they think the growth rates are going to be. Down here on the far right, You're looking at growth. I believe it's in the 7% range. Yeah, 7%. It's fast. 7% range compounded. Average compensation, you're looking at 73,000. Now think about this. You're going into a business where your entry level is 73. You only have upside going on. These are all the accountants out there, bookkeepers, people that are working in accounting functions. So trust me, you're going into a business that is going to be, especially for those who have great grades and do really well, you're going to have a very lucrative opportunity for compensation. What are the firms looking for? You know, a lot of young colleagues think it's all about being smart. You are already smart. You've worked really hard to get into good universities. You studied really hard. You got great GPAs. You don't have to convince anybody, especially me, that you're smart enough. And you don't have to. You just don't have to do that. You don't have to let anybody know you're better organized. You're better this. You don't have to do this. What they're looking for something is an intangible in young colleagues. And that intangible has to do with, are you resilient? Is there a certain toughness in you? Will you show up when you maybe have a little bit of a cold? Now, we're not talking about COVID, but we're talking about you got sneeze and you got to go to work and you got to get things done. You have a bad day. You got 3 conflicting jobs that you got to knock down. They're looking for the signs. And here's what they're looking for. Do you have a growth mindset? Students that go and they can show how they're investing in themselves, how they're growing in themselves. I'm going to get my graduate degree. I'm doing this. I'm studying this. I'm taking harder classes. I'm getting certification. They see that and they go, this student, this young colleague has a growth mindset, understands the importance of continuous growth. Global mindset. They'll always ask, hey, so do you have a passport? Students that don't have a passport, more likely than not, they're not getting in. Do you have a passport with stamps? Are you traveling? Are you meeting people from different parts of the world? They're looking at that. They're going to ask questions. Tell me about organizations that you are in. Tell us about leadership roles, whether you've led or you were supportive in that leadership opportunity. Tell us about things that you did. So they're looking for that global mindset, the ability to work in teams. And the last one is, you do not need to bring this to the party, but they're looking for a comfortableness around data and information and technology. Not that you're an expert, because they'll choose the tools. They'll choose the tools that you're going to use, but they want to make sure that you're not afraid of the tools, that you're comfortable in saying, I'll figure this thing out. I'm really good in Power BI. They'll love that. I'm really good in Tableau. They'll love that. Do you need to be good in Power BI and Tableau? No. I use Blue Prism. Great. I use, what's the other one? It doesn't matter. I know how to build bots. That's cool. They're never going to have you at the price that you're going to come in building bots. Other people will do that. They want to know that you understand how to use technology to be more efficient. So it's not that you have to do it. You don't have to write the code. Others can do that, but not being afraid to utilize it and capture it and get value out of it. That they're going to want to. So if you go into an interview and you get confused between a bot, AI, and ML and have no idea how to describe them, you're in a little bit of trouble. But if you sit down and say, you know what, AI and ML, they complement each other. One allows me to sort through and organize information. The other one automates decision-making. I understand I need controls under both. I have quality information. They're looking at you understand that bigger picture around that. Some of our very popular spring courses really are on AI, machine learning, and what it means to accountants in our profession. They are looking for motivation. Please do not ever ask them in an opportunity to negotiate compensation. You don't. They know what it is. They talk to each other. They all know what it is per market, where everybody is, that part. But they are curious about, why do you want to go in this profession? And the main reason is they make an investment in you greater than your investment in yourself. A lovely self-assessment that KPMG has out there on basically your personal brand. It's a hope that you actually develop your own brand, that you can basically understand your brand, if it's good, your brand, if it's strong, your brand, if it's growing. Somehow I didn't touch anything. What was the last thing I said? Well, let me say it this way. This KPMG tool is outstanding. It basically is looking at the things that they're looking for to determine, do you have personal brand awareness? Real important that you do. All right, getting ready. And I see I got Stacy Goldstein in here today. Stacy is my cohort in crime on the admissions team. And we're going to spend a few minutes on this last step, which is how do you get ready for this? So hopefully what we've done right now, we've shared with you the size of these organizations, opportunities, whether it's small, medium, or large. These are global organizations that provide tremendous opportunities, both immediately and in the long term. Whether you stay in public practice or you go off into industry, those that control the information, the secret sauce, are the ones that do best in business. And the accounting firms understand that. So you're inherently in the right place. So if your families are saying this accounting, it's boring, it's this, trust me, it's been a very lucrative career for us. So let's take a look at what's going on here. This is at October 30th. So we've just basically been in the recruiting season just for a couple of weeks now. And this was where we were in 2020, 2021, and 2022. I will share with you this on the global firms where it went down slightly last year. The big reason is a couple of the regions, Moss Adams, went really aggressive at our people. Moss Adams just fell in love with a bunch of our students and went after them, didn't even give the Big Four a chance. They had those kids, signed up and they're at Moss Adams this year. This year, you can see we're getting to a different balance at this point in time. So we're screaming up on the Big Four and the other globals. This one will go up because we have about another 30, 35 students that are still looking for opportunities. It's going to be a really good year at Rady. So we're real excited about what's going on in the recruiting side. All of them are going up. And actually, we've got a number of students already. This is blank right now. I'm aware of already 2 or 3 of our students in this year's class. They love what they're doing in grad school. They want to go on further. They're gluttons. They want to become professors. So they're taking a hard look at PhD programs with our research faculty. This is a really important item. This is kind of a good hint. One of the things to let the accounting firms know, you're investing in yourself, but also acknowledge the investment they make in you. They're going through the process of finding you, identifying and choosing you. They're going to train you, develop you initially and throughout the years. They're going to support you by giving you bonuses if you pass the certification exams early. They're going to spend time figuring if you're the right relationship, chemistry, and fit. Let them know that they're investing in themselves. It's just super complimentary for these firms that you have enough humbleness. You're confident in who you are and you deserve every opportunity with them, but you're also appreciative of the investment that they're making in you as well. This timeline, completely broken. Listen to me closely. I've talked to a number of the managing partners. If managing of not global partners, go back to these sites over and over and over again. If you get a rejection, read that letter really close. It's probably just this position is filled, come back again. They really mean it. They really, truly mean it again. So don't worry about the large firms. If you've gotten a couple of no's, go back in there the next day and look and see if there's another opportunity near you, or give us a call. We'll see if we can help you find things to apply for. What's going on? The Big Four firms in particular are averaging about 2 to 2.5 million resumes a year. They're using technology to help them sift through it. So they're using ML to sort, AI to kind of elevate, some of the resumes that are in there. So they're using information from the past. They've got their algorithms, which we may or may not agree on, and they're trying to do a prediction on who you are. Getting an alignment between that job description and your resume is critically important. So if you're applying for a tax position, but your application, your cover letter, and your resume has the word tax one time, you're not going to get through the algorithms. You want to make sure that they see that you're doing tax competitions, you enjoy your tax project, you've done a tax research memorandum. You want to make sure that you're going strong in tax on your written materials, because that machine is reading that. It's looking for those words that said, oh, she understands what she's looking for. She's looking for a tax position. She's got a lot of tax in her background. Let's talk to her. So be aware of that. This was a colleague that got a rejection. Felt terribly, terribly bad. Many thanks, tax associate, summer and fall of 2022. We will not be proceeding with your application. That's not a rejection. All that simply is the position this associate applied for, they're just not proceeding. We don't know if the position was filled. They don't tell us. We don't know if it's a skill set. We don't know anything about it. So do not let a bot tell you no. Go back in there the next day. Don't be afraid of it. If you need encouragement, come to me. I'll help you hit the send button and do it again. Sometimes these come within about 3 or 4 hours of submission. It's not a human being making this decision. It's electronic. 2, check often. This just came out, EY, with a summer fall of 2021. So here's an organization that is sending out rejections, i.e. bots are sending out on summer of 2022 saying we don't have any opportunities, yet in 2021 still they need people. So again, don't worry about it. Take a look at it. You may not have fit in this particular time. Come see Stacy, come see our people over in careers. We'll be brutally honest. We'll sit back, we'll look at your resume, your letter, we'll look at the opportunity. It's like, yeah, we see what happened here. Let's try this, let's fix this. Let's go at this again. So again, we're just trying to make sure that you understand, do not let a bot tell you no. If you have the ability for grad school, and particularly if you've done good, you've shown strong skills in accounting, but you're not competitive. If you're competing as an accounting minor versus a USC student graduating with a master's, you're probably going to lose. So go internship. Use that as an end round. If you're going up again, using the same example, undergrad, solid grades, accounting minor versus a Rady master's student, you probably go one more time, but do your homework. The way we approach it at Rady is not much more different than when you see in NCAA basketball. A number of these wonderful basketball players come for 1 year of university and they're gone into the NBA. Coach sits down, they look at it, they understand the circumstance, say, you're ready, go. If you don't think you're ready or you're not certain you're ready, come see us. We'll be very honest about it. We'll even teach you the tricks on how to test the waters, whether you're ready or not. So the value of those internships, let me just share this with you. PwC's class for fall of 2022, pretty much 100% of that class came from their internship pool, meaning they're not looking for anybody next fall other than if their firm grows beyond what they thought it was going to be. So E&Y is a little bit less. They're about 75, 80, 85%. KPMG is about mid 80s. So if you're in that final year, you're trying to get that final position, you're competing for the last 10 or 15% of the opportunities, go to internship, win the internship, get the grad degree, boom, you're in. All right. Again, letter of rejection. Do not take it seriously. We're not taking it seriously. If it's from a bot, we're taking a look at it and say, yeah, it's just a bot that did this. So don't worry. A lot of times students don't know, did I apply to the wrong city, wrong practice area, wrong background? Did it just not match? We'll work with you on that and help you out on that. And I think we're near the final slide or two. So this is the MPAc class of 2022. They're going to focus the remainder of this year on getting ready for their capstones. And their capstone is going to be helping CEOs rewrite their global playbook on how to move property around the world. In about a week and a half, we've got a board member from the what's called the SAS, the Social Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, the ESG guys. He's coming in. He's going to come in and visit with our students on the 18th. The lady that's in this PowerPoint over here in the background, her name is Allison Hartso, one of the top 10 women in technology, particularly around data and customer usage. She'll be coming and visiting with us in January. Notice these are conversations not around debits and credits. They're not topics that are going to show up in intermediate or advanced accounting books. This is where the industry is going. This is about using data sets, information. This is about understanding business models, how to change a business model, how to modify it. So what these students are going to be looking at is they'll be looking at business models and how do you change it? How do you communicate that change? How do you help them? How do you help a company figure out where to make an investment and how do you prove that its return on investment, its ROI was right there. So let me go through that. And the next one, I'm really going to hand it off to Stacy. Is we're here for a number of different things. Obviously we want to have a conversation with you, a little bit about career advice and get you to the right people, but also what the value of a graduate degree means, is you have a lot of options and choices in front of you. So Stacy, if I can ask you maybe say a quick hello to our colleagues out here, and let me have a sip of water.
Of course. And thank you, Jim. There I am. Hi, everyone. So I am the assistant director here, and that was wonderful. Jim, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Great. We're very lucky, actually. You're very lucky. Jim is more than just an expert in the accounting field. He really does care about you. He cares about our students. He is faculty. He is a mentor. He is checking in and making sure you're attending and getting a job. It's more than just a job. We want you to have a stable career that you're proud of, and that obviously you're doing great things and successful. And that's what I'm about too. I'm with you every step of the way, from the beginning to the end. So if you do have questions, I put my email there. If you'd like to schedule an advising session to ask more detailed questions, to get to know us better, please contact me. I'd be more than happy to walk you through the process. We are very transparent. Jim and I and our careers team and everyone involved in our program, what you see is what you get. This is it. And we will tell you if this program is for you or if it's not. We do not want to lead you on. If you want to be in this field, we will help you. We will do everything we can. And it needs to go both ways. Great, you were admitted to our program, but is it a good fit? We will tell you that. So if you have any questions or about the application process or just in general how our program works and the careers, I work with them directly, please contact me. And again, there's no other school out there that really is as hands-on as we are. The fact that you have an expert in the field who's so passionate about not only accounting in general, but just you as a whole, that speaks volumes. And just so you know, everyone, I see a direct message, but there's no GRE or GMAT. We are waiving it moving forward for our program. And that really goes with what we represent. We look at a holistic approach. It's not about a test score. It's not all about a GPA. It's about your motivation. If you want to be here, if you are ready to give it your all and be ready early on for recruiting, because we want to get you job placement before you start our program. If you want that, then we want you. So there's no testing requirement. You think you have a low GPA, come talk to me. You're worried about financial means and paying for the program, come talk to me. Yeah. Our goal is to kind of relieve that. We don't want you to have stress. And if we can work this out before you apply, even better. So Jim, did I touch on everything?
I think you did. I think what's really important too is not only do you have the group that's here at Rady that is supportive, but we have a growing group of alumni. So if you've come from University X, there's a good chance we've got a colleague that's either in the program or was in the program. We'd be happy to introduce you to that person and just ask, what do you think about this? Stacy is absolutely right. We're a little bit of a tough program. One of our other UCs just north of us a little bit, they're a fine program. They're a 44 unit program. Ours is a 50 unit program. It's the capstone that's a big differentiator. If you're curious about what our students are, I encourage you to go in and listen to their webinars. I mean, it's out there in the world forever. It doesn't disappear. It's a global webinar that was done as part of a conference. And, our students have a chance to, while their parents have a chance to see what they're doing in their second last week of a academic career. And it really is pretty exciting about what our students are doing. So you're more than welcome to have that conversation with our students. We're pretty well connected. I mean, we got our WeChat, we got our LinkedIn. We're always just sharing and busting things around. And the students themselves are working with each other closely. Many of the big networking is taking place within the class. I'm trying to get into this firm. I see you're already hired there. Can you give me some pointers? Can you introduce me, to your firm? So we're really trying to be, supportive with each other in the class itself. And we do have fun. I mean, the other day we're doing a sunset Friday night with our students. We had a blast there. I know that they went over to graduate student housing for a dinner afterwards. There's an event, I think either this weekend or next weekend. Somebody did a beach cleanup, and it wasn't even a beach, it was like in a forest. So they're really trying to take advantage of Well, they're trying to do what everybody else is trying to do, is get back to normality. We're now allowed to get together and enjoy each other. And so people are just using this beautiful San Diego opportunity to get outside and get to know each other and enjoy a little bit of a post-COVID world now.